This is it.
This is it.
30 years.
Oh, no.
And here we come to a day where honestly, for me, I can't imagine a day you not working here.
It's been a while. It's been a minute since '95, and in the market since '89. In life, the first hurricane that I ever talked about professionally was Alicia, because I was hired in 1982.
Oh my gosh!
And then that was in August of, I think, 17th of 1983. And so I was on air for the first time talking about a hurricane.
Yes.
Professionally, and it was like, it's going to Houston. And then in 1989, I was going to Houston. And here I've been ever since.
So speaking about hurricanes, since this is for our hurricane show, what do you, over the past 30 years, and like you mentioned, starting with Alicia, what are your memories about all of the storms that have come through here? Is there any one or two or three that stick out more than the others?
Well, Ike was Ike, and Bolivar was decimated, and then then they wouldn't let us go to the west end of Galveston to see what was happening. Well, when you won't let somebody go, it's like, okay, why not? Well, what's up? What are we not seeing? And then we got in the helicopter, and they let us go down there and show what was happening. And while we were showing that, my email box filled up with, when you were down there, did you happen to see my house? And I got a lot of those, and I thought, we need to go back and try to show people their houses. And so we arranged this whole thing with people emailing us their addresses and getting on the phone and showing people their houses. People still talk about that today.
Yes.
It was unscripted reality television like we've never had before.
Well, I was going to tell you, that memory more than anything else, that's the number one hurricane memory I have about you and what you did during Hurricane Ike, because you know what? You were the only one that was in a helicopter down there, and it's seared in my mind of these people calling, because it was worked out, and they're like, okay, here's where my house is, and you're like, okay, I'm looking at your house, and then you knew the areas, first of all, so well, and you're like, okay, here's what I see, and then just the reaction of like the relief, when like, okay, my house is not that bad, or the tears. When they said they're like,
there it is, it's ruined.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, it wasn't a one-man show, because we had people here that were on the phone and getting the addresses, relaying them to us. Of course, helicopter pilot was just doing a great job of going around the houses, and then our photographer John Triggle in the back. I don't know how. I still don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing that we could zero in, because as you know, there are satellite delays of what you're hearing and what you're seeing on TV. And so we're hearing it and we're looking for it, and they're seeing it at home, and it happened.
Yeah, incredible. So here's the other one that I hear more than anything else when people talk about you and I'm out and they talk about, hey, Frank. They say, Frank was the first one to tell me that Harvey was going to bring 50 inches. Frank was the first one to tell me that this is it.
But Ron Stagno of the National Weather Service years ago, and then went into emergency management, he taught me this rule a long time ago. You take the forward motion of the storm, say it's 10 miles an hour, divide that into 100, that's how many inches of rain you can get. 10 into 100, 10 inches of rain. 5 into 100, 20. 20 into 100, 5. Well, all the models said that Harvey was going to get stuck and move at 2 miles an hour. Well, 100 divided by 2 is 50.
Yep.
I mean, it's just math. Just, the slower it goes, the more rain it'll drop.
Right.
And we see that in thunderstorms. Those big storms that just last month dropped 17, 18 inches of rain up toward Livingston because it was moving so slowly. So we see that a lot now. But Ron knew it then, and I've never forgotten it, and it always works. But it's gutsy to go on TV and say we're going to get 50 inches of rain.
Yes, and then it happens.
And then it happens, because if it doesn't, people will call you 50-inch Frank for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Got to get those right.
Yes. Let's talk about the industry now, because being here for 30 years and being in the industry as long as you have, what has changed the most? Because even for me, with the slightly shorter career, this industry is changing a mile a minute.
Computer models. And access to them. It was Bill Clinton who signed the Freedom of Information Act. Until then, we couldn't get the models. And then after that, they all opened up. Yeah. And then they were not that good, but they were good. But then they've gotten better and better and better and better and better. I mean, they work in petaflops, far beyond megabytes.
Right.
I mean, the computers would fill up this entire studio, and they can do quadrillions of equations, and they can do a lot of them in a second. So it's more about getting the data in there, and because, like the butterfly effect, As soon as it's 76, a cloud comes along and it's 70.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So to get the data in there and the right data and get it all as much as you can, that part is still the challenge. Every airplane that goes up sends back data from the nose of the airplane, which is why during COVID, when all those planes were grounded, the models didn't do so well.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know that, but we get data from airplanes and from satellites and from buoys and from just ground data. But the more we get, the better the models will be. And so with artificial intelligence coming along, will that improve? Because I don't think computers can improve that much more.
Right.
They're so fast already, and the equations in them we know work. Because you can go back empirically and say, hey, what would this computer predict? From 20 years ago, and if the computer predicts it correctly, the equations are right. Okay, so we know the equations are good, if not excellent, and we know that the ability for the computing is there. It's the data going into it that's the problem.
So I'm listening to you right now, and there's so much passion for what you love. I mean, you love weather. You have the license plate that says
weather.
Weather.
Yes.
I mean, this is your passion, and I'm listening to you have so much passion talking about weather models, which, I mean, there are a lot of meteorologists who aren't that interested in weather models. But you have this passion. How are you going to step into this next part of your life without this?
Well, am I? Can I? How will it happen? I don't know. I spoke to a group just last week, and I said, and they said, well, should we stay for a hurricane or should we leave? And I said, well, if you see a car leaving with a weather license plate, follow it.
Oh man, that's great.
But I appreciate your question. As you know, in this business, our spouses get neglected a lot. So it'll be nice to just as a couple do a lot of things that we haven't done, Kevin and I, and it'll be fun to actually go to dinner and not be looking at your watch. Which is something that I have to do. It'll be nice to be able to commit to going to dinner with another couple and actually showing up because there is not a severe thunderstorm. So there's that. I've always said that weather, it's like a baby, and most of the time it's nice and cute and sweet. But when it cries and won't stop crying, it's tough because it's your baby.
Right.
And the thing about weather is it never grows up. It's always a baby. It's always that baby. So it'll be nice to put the baby down for a while and go and live as an adult without children.
I tell you, this is what I'm going to miss most about you not working here, these lines, this whole train of thoughts you have, because I remember my first day of work, July 15th, 2003, Hurricane Claudette was hitting.
I remember.
And you were on the air. I'm supposed to be filling out paperwork for HR, and I'm just watching you, and you were on the air from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, and at some point you looked at me and you said, "Don't worry, Anthony, not every day is like this." and these lines, I'm going to miss that more than anything else. And so I maybe a final thought about, for the rest of us, we have Justin, Caroline, Adaji, Brittany. What would be your imparting words? Because I'm excited about hearing this. Your imparting words of wisdom for all of us who are going to carry on while you're at dinner with your friends.
I know, right? Have no fear. Have no fear. Don't be afraid to tell the audience what you really think is going to happen, because they'll appreciate that effort more than if you say, well, I'm not sure, or it might rain, might not. I'll let you know later. They want an answer, and we all do. Right. We all want to know what's going to happen, and they look to weather people to tell them as best they can what the future is going to hold.
Yeah.
And in the past, a lot of us have said, well, I'm scared to go out on that limb because if I'm wrong, then I'm going to be ruined. And that's not true.
Right.
You can be wrong. We want you to be right as much as you can, but if you're wrong, then that happens. It's just like anything. It's like any profession. We want our stockbrokers to be right and our doctors to be right, and they're not always right.
Right.
And we want our weather people to be right. But we want an answer. We want you to say something and do the best you can.
And if you follow on the internet of other meteorologists or the social meteorologists, they'll put out a 2-week forecast that this hurricane is going to hit 2 weeks from today in this area, and they're always wrong.
I think that you can go overboard, and a lot of weather people do with that, because they say, well, if I give them an answer, then not giving them an answer. You want to be responsible, and you want to to try to do the best to tell them the truth as you know it. You don't want to just say, I know that's not going to happen, but it's going to get me clicks. It's going to get me clicks, even though it's not going to happen. That's the wrong way to go about it, and that's certainly not what I mean. What I mean is do your homework, know your stuff, and tell people, here's what I think.
Yeah, you were mentioning models. I mean, you told me this years ago. You're like, no one wants to hear what you're showing models. They want to know what you think.
Right. You can't get married to the models.
Right.
You have to say, okay, this is the model information, but also this is my experience. And our team still has a wealth of experience in this market. And we're one of the few markets, we're kind of like Chicago, that our viewers still are really loyal to us. You know, you go to other markets like Miami or Phoenix where people are new and they're transient and they're like, well, I don't care who I watch.
Right.
But here in Houston, they've always been like that. They're loyal for news and weather and sports, even to their teams. Even when their teams aren't filling the stadiums, they're still loyal. Yep. So we're a group of people in Houston and Southeast Texas that we really depend on our news people and our weather people, and we like them and we want them to succeed. They're for you. Remember that. They're for you. They're for you. And they want you to succeed. It's just like when you go to a comedy show, you want them to be funny. Right. You don't want them to fail. When you turn on the weather, you want a good forecast. You don't want them to fail. You want them to do well. Yeah,
well, I mean, on behalf of myself, and I know the team here, and all the letters that I was just seeing you open of people you wishing you well, saying they're going to miss you, we are truly going to miss you. The smile, the jokes, the puns, the knowledge, the expertise. We are going to miss it tremendously, and we hope you have a wonderful next chapter of your life. All of us are rooting for you.
There you go.
Hey,
see,
we want this happiness, and we want these dinners, and we want this time off. And when there's a storm coming,
we pray for you.
Yes, you pray for us. And at the time, we hope that you have peace. So thank you so much.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right. That is right.
It's a pleasure. Good luck to you all.
All right, thanks. Don't go away. Your Hurricane Flood and Survival Guide is coming up next.